those of you who are, new to this event, obviously welcome to Women in Tech, Republic and Allies' first sort of panel event of this year to celebrate International Women's Day. For those of you that are kind of new to the events, just as a bit of a background of Women in Tech, Republic, it's a Third Republic employee-led effort that challenges the gender imbalance that exists among, software engineers and other technical roles. Our mission is to connect, inspire and develop the careers of female technologists in order to make technology a more diverse and inclusive, working environment with a vision to empower our community members to be change agents, in the world of tech. This evening, we're joined by Dipti, Martyna and Victoria, who will be kicking off the evening, with their thoughts around the key topic of the event, which is what does new work mean? We'll then, split into two different breakout rooms to give you the chance to share your own experiences on our subtopics, which is what is the kind of impact of remote working and what does the future of work look like? We'll then kind of reconvene after around 25 minutes for a recap of what was discussed in the breakout rooms, and a chance to then kind of network as a whole. Let obviously the panelists kind of take lead and introduce themselves and kind of introduce their subtopic as well.
Thanks, Daisy. Thanks for, having the nice warm welcome for all of us. So I just wanted to introduce the topic a little more, maybe also give a little introduction about myself. My name is Dipti. I have been in the field of technology ever since. So this is what I graduated with, and this is where I am now. And I think just over the last 2 years, right, if you think about it from where we stand right now, it seems like a blur. But when you actually go back and see how, the status quo got challenged, or how, we started drawing this very thin line between personal and professional, and how, we were all hoping that there's going to be the back to old world soon again. And here we are, it's the same old world like as it used to be, but it's not so. Things have drastically changed in the workplace. Things have rather become more personal than they were before. There is more individuality present in each of our work than it was before. And yet I feel that, there is a point where we all struggle as organizations to kind of draw in what brings us together as an organization on the whole. And also how do we accommodate the different schedules of people? There are people who are either in office permanently, or they're remote, or they are on a hybrid way. And, people just have such drastic change in schedules all over. So I think the new normal is not what we were expecting it to be. And it was wonderful to have this topic raised by Daisy and by Caitlin, and having a discussion around it. We said, hey, we need more people to talk about this, give us ideas, and just jam it on. So here we are.
Nice to meet you all. My name is Martyna. I'm the co-founder CTO of Fiat Republic. So for me, I think the discussion about ways of working even and the impact of remote working was there for quite a few years. And the thing is that it was probably a common, a very popular discussion among maybe people in IT, not necessarily other places. So I think it's the way I see it is we've been probably asking for a little bit of a change, kind of a little bit more of flexibility and remote working for many years. And I think those who are pro were constantly being challenged by people saying that certain things can only happen in the office. And I think after 2 years of what we've been, in the past 2 years, it's we tend to see that, but there is maybe a middle ground between those two worlds. You can probably compromise both kind of approaches, and find something. So for me, the shift is interesting because I see people who are very pro remote working only. Now they see that, oh, I actually miss going to the office. Maybe we could meet there from time to time. On the other hand, you've got people who have been always working in the office say that I cannot work at home. It's just it's not working for me. And suddenly they see I'm sometimes even more productive at home. So that's a new perspective for everybody.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Martyna. Well, my name is Victoria. I'm the CISO and DPO of Coosto. well, just like Dipti, I also kind of grew up in the tech space. Well, basically being a little kid, I've been programming while I was a kid. I wanted to know how computers worked and whatsoever. So always thought that, technology is super cool. And now more in the space, of information security and privacy. And you kind of see technology coming, towards us all, depending, in what we see from businesses, what they are developing, the kind of services. They're becoming more digitalized, more digital transformation. What we can live is the whole digital space and tools and technology and whatsoever. And then we have this whole working from home thing during the pandemic, where indeed what Martyna already said, like some people loved it and want to continue doing so. Other people like, oh, bring me back to the office because I have kids at home. They're yelling, they're screaming. I can't do this. And we basically now created kind of a hybrid version, exactly what Dipti kind of said, like how are we going to handle this and combine this and whatsoever. And I think it's so interesting to see that, despite the kind of the two, different parties, so let's do it this way or the other way, we have this mix at the moment, but that we also, I think everyone kind of acknowledges that, opposed to what, many employers traditionally would say, like we have to be at the office. It's the only way for us to have some sort of control. And CEOs or whatsoever becoming kind of afraid, well, if we work from home, will the people still be working, yes or not? And we kind of see that people are still, doing their jobs. They are still working. Moreover, they tend to perhaps even overwork in that sense, because there are no colleagues next to you reminding you to have a lunch, or, oh, now it's the end of the day. You're still sitting in your kitchen, your living room, or whatever office space at home. And there is no real difference anymore. So in that sense, I think maybe that's what you were also getting at, Dipti. It becomes more personal in that sense. You are bringing your work home. There is no clear distinction that you're physically moving to somewhere where you have the time and space to kind of switch your mind. So for me, this whole new working and working from home and whatsoever, for me it kind of really rises up, what are we doing, mentally towards ourselves, and as an employer towards an employee. We find it sometimes hard to connect through this digital space. Like you literally can't see like your hands movements or whatever you're doing with your body. And if you're being nervous, you will see someone like tapping their feet. You can't see all those things anymore. So it's so important for us to still find this connection with each other through this screen. And if you have a bad internet connection, you're really trying to listen, what's this person saying, trying to autocomplete those words in your head. It takes more time and effort and energy. There are so many pros and cons in that sense. And I think, this whole new, working from home, or however you want to call it, whole new working, I think it's so important to acknowledge that despite we're like digital faces here, we look literally looking at pixels, we're still humans at the other side. We still have to do our best to connect with each other, really take that time and space, and not to only focus on, we have a meeting, we have to discuss this, and then hop on to the next. Then we're becoming these kind of worker bees. We forget to connect to each other. We might even lose a bit of our, our human decency, asking like, hey, how are you? Not like, oh, hope things are great and let's discuss this. Really take the time to really understand each other, understand where we are at, our goals, and really connect. So then whenever you do need someone, you still feel I can reach out to someone. This person is taking the time to really listen to me. It's so easy to talk, just like what I'm doing right now. It's so easy just to talk because it's hard for someone else also to interrupt. And there are so many things, and for me, we have to keep this in mind, this change in mind, not to forget that, we are human. We all bring something to the table. We have to give other people the time to listen to them, process their feedback, get back to them. Do not treat them, more as, this is kind of a few pixels on my screen, or it's an email. There's still a person behind an email, a camera, a meeting. We all work with each other, and we all want to, create value, add things to the world, and to really not forget that place. We're all basically the same, regardless of age, background, experience, culture, whatever preferences. It all doesn't really matter. And I think that it's so important to, for us to reflect on this whole situation and keep that in mind, and, bring that along, that whatever you're going to do, work for an employer at the office or at home or hybrid, or change things up, move to another country, it all comes down to that. If we want to be happy, with each other and the people around us and whoever we're working with, to not forget that human element and to help each other take care of each other. So yeah, that's my little rant. But for me, that has been a very important topic to really think about and to embrace it and to remind other people also.
Thank you, Victoria, and thank you, Dipti and Martyna, for your introductions. It's really great to get just a kind of first idea of what the kind of insight will be of the conversation today, and obviously your own experiences as well. What we'll do now is we'll break out into the rooms. As mentioned, it'll be around 20-25 minutes. Obviously, kind of depending on how the conversation goes, and then we'll get back in the room together and we'll kind of just go through an overview of what both kind of groups have discussed. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the other room, or if not, I'll see you on the other side, and we'll catch up in a little while.
Hi everyone, welcome back. We had a good discussion in our room. I'll probably pass over to Martyna to give like a quick overview, but yeah, obviously our room was talking about the future of work. So spoke about how things are changing, it's different now, flexibility, productivity, freedom, like culture, how you can continue culture remotely, and yeah, how things have changed. I don't know, Martyna, what you kind of want to add on to that. But yeah, it was very interactive. I know everyone had a lot to say, so I think we probably still have some things to discuss on that as well.
Sure, thanks. So I think if there is like a getaway from the discussion that we've had, is kind of like the freedom that's important, like adjusting and making sure that you listen to the people who are you trying to hire. Like these are the people you'll be working with. You need to make sure that they're happy with what they're doing and how they're doing that, and where being quite important, whether that's in the office or at home. And making sure that we had this kind of like a proof of concept that it works. It is possible to work from remotely. It's possible to, like, as before it used to be the norm that you work from the office and that's the only way. So right now we have an alternative, and we can mix it. We can mix it and make sure that we adjust to what people want. But I wouldn't say just adjusting to majority. I would say like making sure that the team is comfortable with how they're managing their workload, how they're like, in what ways they're working. Because one team might be kind of like, I want to work in the office, and you need to, make sure that they are able to work from the office. And you might have a team that prefers remote working, and you adjust to that. So I think that would be the biggest getaway from the discussion that we've had so far. So the future is, it's flexible, it's hybrid, it's customized depending on what your team wants. And it's about understanding where people are coming from and why they want that freedom. And if you have, if you're sometimes talking with people who want to like, oh, I want you in the office and only in the office, that's the way, that's the only way. Sometimes it's worth asking the question, like, what do you want to achieve? Because maybe you want to achieve exactly the same thing, you just have a different way of getting there. And different group of like, maybe engineers prefer working from home, or some engineers prefer working from the office, right? You need to listen like to the people who are in your company, to the people that you are trying to hire, and make sure that you create a space for them, whatever that space is.
That's really interesting. Martyna, thanks for running through that with us. I'm sure it was really, really interesting conversation. I mean, I guess Victoria, Dipti, I'm not too sure if either of you want to kind of summarize, what was kind of spoke about in our room.
I could share my big takeaways, and I'm sure Victoria has many as well. So it was a very interesting conversation for me to really, hear from people on how this has impacted them, and things that were different. We spoke about points which were on onboarding, topics that you still need to take care of even so more to make sure that people feel included in those very first months, to talking more about how we feel as individuals now that the hybrid model seems to be the most popular one, but also the most chaotic one of all, where there is a freedom to choose and customize, like you rightly put it, Martyna, to customize your work hours and, to customize when you're going to be there and when you won't be there. And it gives you so much of an opportunity to rather miss on the same times as your colleagues. So I think this is, it is out there. I think we'll discover with time on what are the different ways we handle it. Right now, it seems like there is a lot of policing that a lot of companies are coming up with to make sure, there is a certain decorum and there is a certain level of togetherness that you still feel. At the same time, we spoke a lot about discipline on, how we make sure that our calendars aren't back to back full of meetings. How do you, go back and say, hey, that could be an email and not a meeting? So, taking the right notes, sharing it, having the focus on communication. Yet again, I don't think any of us ever get communication right. It is an uphill battle all the time, but it's good to recognize, that this becomes even more highlighted right now. So I think for me, one of the best lines, which I'm going to use very often, Vera, and thank you for it, is to not create office at home. It's just not an option. And I think that's a really nice way to look at it.
Well, I'm not sure if I have anything else to add based on your beautiful summary and what Martyna said. Now, I also think that we should consider, also the wonderful opportunities it brings for us. I mean, very honest, if we were working in the office, we probably wouldn't have this session at this moment. It's harder to connect with each other, especially if you have an office, share it with someone or in an open space. I wouldn't meet with all those wonderful people, of you of all over the world. There are, also so many benefits in this working from home, remote, hybrid, however you want to call it, situation. I mean, there are so many opportunities to connect, learn from each other, and even outside our little bubble of the organization that you work for, to share thoughts and experiences and share our struggles, our ideas, or whatsoever. I think that's such a wonderful opportunity that I also just wanted to point out. We should do these things more often.
I think, Victoria, you spoke really nicely and with a lot of empathy really about the persons and, a lot regarding the human power within. So I think that is a factor that I felt this was a good discussion for. That is what we were all trying to achieve here, to make sure that, we continue feeling part of a community, even if, it's like you put it, Victoria, it's all just pixels and, we're not just pixels. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, there's way more behind this, right? Just, normally at work when I have my colleagues, they have questions from, other colleagues or customers. Oh, they have this question. How do I answer this? I'm like, well, what's the question behind the question? It's kind of the same thing. Who are these people behind these kind of pixel screen? We want to get to know them. We want to understand them. What drives them? If we truly understand the other person, we truly understand the needs, then we can really help another person. We can empower another person. They light up. They feel brighter. They also feel more empowered and encouraged to, help other people. Remind them also, like, hey, did you actually had a drink, or did you had lunch? And really looking out for each other in that sense, and building this kind of powerful community and helping each other. That's the most empowering thing there is. It energizes you. It's so nice, knowing that you work with other people or surrounded by people, maybe not physically, but knowing, they're all working from home or another space, that we all look out for each other. I mean, then work, very honestly, it becomes secondary. Work is work. Work will, resolve itself when we know if we need help or, or want tips or whatsoever from someone else to handle a certain situation, whatever it is. If we feel safe and comfortable, we can reach out to other people, and then there's no stopping to us. No, there is no fear. There is no feeling guilty or feel of rejection or feeling bad going out to do your groceries. Girl, we gotta eat, So no, it's so important to understand our own values, who we are as a person, what we stand for, but also really acknowledge the other person. And if we're able to do that, in real life or remotely, that doesn't really matter. We should not forget this part, and then then we can really understand what life is really about, really enjoy it. And there's so many crazy things going on in this world, pandemic, all the things going on with Ukraine right now, all the other things probably bound to happen, and things that happened in the past. Work is just work. It's supposed to help us, to support us. We want to belong somewhere. There's an employer who maybe has a wonderful idea, but we don't work for someone else. It's also one thing we should also not forget. Sure, we're an employee, we work for an employer, but we work for them because we bring value to them. They kind of need us. We all bring something to the table. That's such an important thing to not forget, to help each other, remind ourselves and other people of this. And the rest will resolve itself.
I think well put. I think what's important is the fact that we all need kind of like a sense of belonging. And if you figure out how to make sure that your company culture is good, then the rest is going to be fine. So whether you're remote or you're in the office, it's all about the culture that you create. And the culture doesn't create on its own. So you need to make sure that you spend time on it. So you kind of like, you listen to people, and then the people will create the culture with you, right? As opposed to kind of like you setting up, this is how we do it, and that's the end of it. I think it should always be an open discussion depending like who is there, right? So it's always about the people.
Yeah, and practice what you preach. You don't only say, oh, we do this. Actually, goddammit, do so. That's even more important than preaching it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you so much. Obviously, I wasn't in your room, Martyna. It sounded, super interesting, and Dipti and Victoria, it was really great to, just to kind of have an open conversation around all these experiences. Really appreciate everyone coming along today. It's been really nice to get to know some new people, and just to kind of get together. Really, will only be a matter of time until we host the next one. And I hope you all have great evenings. I hope you've taken at least something from the event today, a new lesson or something valuable from other people's experiences. I know that I sure have. So appreciate it, and I hope you all have a really great evening.